The highway cut through the dark Manitoba prairie, a quiet Greyhound bus rolling east on July 30, 2008. On board, passengers drifted between sleep and silent contemplation, lulled by the hum of the engine. No one sensed the storm gathering in the shadows, a moment that would redefine terror for a nation. The bus was a temporary community, strangers sharing a ride, each with their own destination. For Tim McLean, it was a journey home. For another, it was the edge of madness. The prairie night was still, the peace fragile. Soon the ordinary would be shattered by the unthinkable. The rhythmic thump of tires, the soft glow of lights, mundane details that would soon frame chaos. In a world where safety felt certain, horror was just a seat away. The bus moved steadily east, carrying its passengers toward a fate none could imagine. A random seat, a chance encounter, choices that would haunt survivors and investigators alike. There were no what-ifs that night, only the relentless approach of tragedy. The rules of civilization would soon be suspended, replaced by disbelief and a single haunting question: why? This is the story of Bus 1170, a journey into darkness. The night held its breath, and the world would never be the same. The peace was an illusion, about to be shattered forever. The highway, once ordinary, was about to become infamous. And on that bus, the unimaginable was moments away. Tim McLean was 22, a carnival worker with a free spirit and a quick smile. He'd just finished a fair in Edmonton, heading home to Winnipeg, excited to see family and friends. Tim was known for his kindness, laughter, and a tattoo that read, "Freedom," a symbol of his love for the open road. On the bus, he found a seat near the back, put on his headphones and drifted to sleep, unaware of the man who would soon sit beside him. He was at peace, trusting in the safety of public space. Tim's journey was routine, just another ride for a seasoned traveler. He was a son, a friend, a young man with plans and promise. He was not a headline. He was a person, full of hope, asleep as fate closed in. The tragedy is amplified by his innocence. He did nothing to provoke what came next. He never saw his killer coming. Tim was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. His final moments were peaceful, making the horror that followed even more chilling. The world he woke to, for a fleeting instant, was one of unimaginable violence. The young man with the freedom tattoo would never make it home. Tim's story is a reminder of how quickly life can change. He was just a young man on a bus heading home. Vince Lee, 40, was an immigrant from China, living a quiet, unremarkable life in Canada. He worked odd jobs, kept to himself, and beneath the surface battled severe mental illness. Paranoia and voices haunted him, pushing him further from reality. On July 30th, Lee boarded the bus in Erickson, Manitoba, quiet, emotionless, wearing sunglasses even at night. He changed seats after a rest stop, settling next to the sleeping Tim McLean. To others it was nothing, a man moving seats. But for Lee, it was the start of something catastrophic. In the days before, Lee's behavior had grown erratic, quitting jobs, leaving cryptic notes, wandering aimlessly. He believed he was chosen by God to save the world from evil. The voices told him Tim was a threat. For half an hour, Lee sat beside Tim, calm and still, a storm raging inside. In his bag, a hunting knife, purchased for a purpose only he understood. To the other passengers, he was just another face. But in his mind, he was on a divine mission. The stage was set, the players in place. The prairie night was about to be torn apart. Sometimes the most dangerous storms are the ones you never see coming. On Bus 1170, the fuse was lit, and the darkness was about to descend. A scream shattered the silence. Vince Lee stood over Tim McLean, stabbing him with a hunting knife. No warning, just sudden, brutal violence. Passengers panicked, scrambling to escape as the driver pulled over. 35 people fled into the night, leaving behind a nightmare. The driver and a few others tried to help, but it was too late. Lee, now alone on the bus, began to dismember Tim's body. He held up the severed head for the horrified onlookers outside. The witnesses could only watch, helpless, as the horror unfolded. The driver and a passing trucker armed themselves, standing guard to keep Lee contained. They called 911, voices trembling as they described the indescribable. On a lonely stretch of highway, ordinary people faced unimaginable evil. When police arrived, the bus was eerily still, its lights illuminating a scene of horror. Vince Lee was alone inside. The passengers huddled in shock nearby. Police formed a barricade, unsure what Lee might do next. Negotiators called out, but Lee was lost in his own world, pacing, sometimes mutilating the body, sometimes staring blankly. He tried to drive the bus, but it was immobilized. Lee's actions grew more bizarre, displaying the severed head, talking to it, lost in psychosis. Officers watched, realizing they faced not just a killer, but a man completely detached from reality. Hours passed in tense silence. Finally, Lee broke a window and tried to escape. Police used a taser to subdue him and took him into custody. As he was led away, he apologized. "I'm sorry, I'm guilty, please kill me." The night was over, but the trauma had just begun. For those who entered the bus, the horror would never fade. The story of Bus 1170 was far from over. Vince Lee's arrest was only the beginning. Psychiatrists diagnosed him with paranoid schizophrenia. He believed he was acting on God's orders. The court agreed. Lee was not criminally responsible due to mental illness. Instead of prison, he was sent to a secure psychiatric facility. His treatment, not punishment, became the focus. He would remain there until deemed no longer a threat. For many, the NCR verdict was hard to accept. The brutality of the crime made it difficult to see Lee as a patient, not a monster. The decision sparked debate about mental illness, justice, and responsibility. Was this compassion or a loophole? The law recognized illness, not evil, as the cause. The verdict set the stage for a national reckoning. After the verdict, Vince Lee, now Will Baker, responded well to treatment. Each year he was granted more freedoms, escorted walks, unescorted visits, then a group home. With every step, public outrage grew. Tim McLean's family, especially his mother, became vocal critics, arguing that justice had not been served. In 2017, Baker was granted an absolute discharge, no more legal conditions, a free man. Doctors said he was no longer a threat, but many disagreed. The decision divided the country, some trusted the system, others saw it as betrayal. Was rehabilitation enough for such a crime? The debate raged. Public safety versus the rights of the mentally ill. For many, the release was the ultimate injustice. The case left a deep rift in Canada's conscience. The story was far from settled. The murder of Tim McLean shook Canada, forcing a reckoning with public safety and mental health. Ridership on Greyhound dipped, fear lingered. Calls for increased security followed, but practical solutions were elusive. The case led to the Not Criminally Responsible Reform Act in 2014, making it harder for NCR offenders to be released. A new high-risk designation extended review periods and limited freedoms. The law was controversial. Critics argued it stigmatized mental illness and prioritized punishment over treatment. Supporters saw it as necessary for public safety. The legacy of Bus 1170 is complex, a symbol of random violence, a catalyst for legal change. It exposed gaps in mental health care and challenged the balance between compassion and security. The story became a cultural touchstone, shorthand for a justice system under strain. The questions it raised still echo today. The scars remain. Was justice served in the case of Tim McLean and Vince Lee? If justice means punishment, the outcome is unsatisfying. Tim is gone, and his killer is free. If justice means treatment and rehabilitation, the system worked as intended. The case forces us to confront uncomfortable truths, the horror of the act, the reality of mental illness. Can we show compassion to someone who committed the unforgivable? Where do we draw the line between public safety and mercy? The story remains unsettled, a tragedy with no easy answers. It reminds us of life's fragility and the thin line between sanity and chaos. No verdict can balance the scales. We are left to ponder justice, mercy, and the darkness that can sit beside us unseen.